Hi everyone, I'm Charlie Wheeler with Coaching with Charlie, and I just wanted to jump in here and give you guys a quick productivity tip. So I want to talk a little bit about habits. So everybody tells us that we need to make a habit of this or that. And that's great advice, but nobody really talks about how we form habits. What's the process of it? What's the best way to make sure that we form habits that stick? So first, we need to understand the habit loop. Okay, so the habit loop consists of three different components. It's the cue, the routine, and then the reward. So the cue is the trigger that prompts the habit, and the routine is the behavior itself. And then the reward is the positive enforcement that reinforces the habit. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about each of those. So the cue is the trigger or the signal that initiates the habit, right? So this can be something external or it can be an internal prompt that sets off that automatic response. So cues can take different forms, such as a specific time of day, a location, an emotional state, a visual or auditory stimulus, or the presence of certain people. So, for example, a cue for going to the gym in the morning might be setting an alarm for a specific time. So the routine is the behavior itself. It's the action you want to take, the habit you want to form. So it can be a physical action, a mental process, or a specific pattern of behavior. For instance, the routine associated with a cue to go to the gym might involve packing the gym bag, putting on your workout clothes, and heading to the gym. So the reward then is the positive reinforcement that follows the routine. It's the pleasurable or satisfying outcome that reinforces the habit and makes you more likely to repeat it in the future. So rewards can be tangible, something like a treat or praise or things like that, or they can be intrinsic, such as a feeling of relaxation or fulfillment. And the gym example, the reward might be the endorphin rush and the sense of achievement you get after a workout. The reward part is kind of the part of the loop that a lot of people fall off of. We forget to reward ourselves. My daughter has a phrase that she calls following the dopamine. So it's when we accomplish something, our brains, we're proud of ourselves, so our brains release a bit of dopamine, and that's a little bit of reward. But we have to reinforce that by giving ourselves something. And when we do that, when we give ourselves a reward, that habit is much more likely to stick. Okay. So by understanding the habit loop, then you can start to manipulate it a bit. And you can manipulate its components in order to establish new habits or change existing ones. So one way you can do that is by cue manipulation. So you can identify the cues that trigger the habit that you want to develop or change. So make those cues more prominent or deliberate. For example, if you want to start drinking more water, make sure that your water bottle is on your desk all the time. That serves as a visual cue. You can do routine modification. So you want to, after you determine the specific behavior, the habit that you wanted to enforce, make it as specific and actionable as possible. So break it down into small, manageable steps that are really easy to implement. So if you want to, for example, establish a habit of reading more, you start with making a habit of reading 5 pages a day. And then later, once that habit is established, you increase it. And then you can do reward optimization. So you want to identify and reinforce the rewards that are associated with the habit. So you want to ensure that the reward is satisfying and meaningful to you. If the reward that you have isn't motivating enough, find an alternative one that better aligns with what you like, what motivates you, and what'll get you to your goals. So by consciously manipulating that habit loop, you can establish new habits or you can replace bad habits you currently have. This does take repetition and it takes time. The more consistently you do it, the better it's going to get. One thing that I like is a habit tracker, and it's basically just a visual representation of the habits. So they have them, you can get them on Amazon, or you can just print out a calendar and put an X on the day when you do the things. So work on 1 or 2 habits at a time. They generally say it takes about 30 days to really make a habit to where it's a natural thing. So what you're doing is training your brain and your body to do a certain time, a certain activity at a certain time, or in a certain situation. And so it kind of becomes brain and muscle memory. And so they have habit trackers. You can, they have colorful ones. You can color in little spaces or different things like that. But that kind of visual representation of it really helps. So that's how habits work and how we can form them better. If you guys have any questions about it or need any help with it, feel free to drop a question in the comments, and I hope that helps. Have a great day.